A really integral part in Dead Reels are the classes. Each one has a neat little gimmick to them. It changes how you play the game. And with its various options, you have endless possibilities for team composition and other methods to approach situations. But there are some unfortunate classes that are too underwhelming to use that it's much more better to just pick other options. In which, granted, in games with the size of a catalog of characters, some are bound to get overshadowed by others, either by power creep or not being as special. But that doesn't mean there's no hope for them. In this video, I'll be taking some classes that I think aren't exactly the best and I'll try to get them up to speed, or at the very least give them a bit more usability. Without further ado, let's roll. The first on the chopping block is the Ironclad, in which I'd say is the worst class in the entire game. The current Ironclad we have starts with a full set of armor that reduces the incoming damage by 50% at the cost of walking 10% slower. Pretty simple, but that's why it's kinda reliable in both solos and team play. Sure, 50% damage reduction means more health is much more damage, but that's like, what, 50 more health? With that, simply being out of harm's way is just more viable rather than tanking it. The Ironclad is designed to be a tank, that's for sure, but he sucks at it. Having 50 more health isn't just gonna cut it. Other classes like the Vampire, which are cheaper by the way, just having speed as their specialty, which happens to be the Ironclad's weakness, ironically does its job better by avoiding damage or horde baiting more safely just by being faster. Yeah, we get it, the class name to shop is 2 in the shed, so how do we make it better? Well, let's take a look at the other classes and tell me, what makes a class good? In design at least. To me, it's how a class can do something unique that no other can or is impossible to do without it. It's that simple, and we'll be using that philosophy for the other classes we'll be reworking later in the video. The Ironclad and the uniqueness are like oil and water. You just have full armor and nothing else, which could easily be acquired later anyway, so there's really no need to sacrifice actual usability for 50 extra health. Alright, enough with the blabbering. The first thing I do is straight up remove the speed debuff and make it so that wearing the armor on any other class decreases your speed by 40%, so it's a noticeable difference being an inconvenience. But the class is reduced to 80%, so you're encouraged to wear it. I could just leave it here as a balance change, but if I'm going to rework a class that centers around an item, I might as well rework the thing as well. What I'll be saying might be a bit controversial, but whatever it takes to make it better, am I right? Wearing a full set of armor now grants you a 100% damage reduction, 50% for the chest plate, 25% for the helmet, and 12.5% for each shoulder plate. Ridiculous, you're basically invincible. But this is because the armor will now have a durability system where it will break when it reaches a certain threshold of being damaged. Let's say 300 damage for the body armor to break, 200 for the helmet, and 100 for the shoulder plates. Then you have to find brand new armor to wear. The slow decrease in damage reduction creates an illusion of armor being chipped away, so that it's not like in a moment you're completely invulnerable, then feeling completely butt naked a second after. I think with these changes this now gives the Ironclad an identity, benefiting from the armor better than the other classes, fulfilling what I aimed it to be as a Juggernaut type thing, and it's generally a better class now. The next one you have is the Cowboy, and he suffers the same problem as the Ironclad. Nothing but extra items when you start the game. Sure, it could be helpful in the early game, but when you get the same if not better utility and firepower after a town or two on any other class, the Cowboy becomes obsolete pretty quickly. In my previous video about class ideas, there were a couple comments pointing out how about my outlaw concept could be for the Cowboy instead because the names are just synonymous. And I'll have that as my take for this class's rework. If you haven't seen that video, I suggest you do. The link to it will be down in the description. You'll definitely like it. To not explain much, but basically the outlaw follows an honor system akin to Red Dead, where you get item discounts based on your crimes like murdering zombies and horses, but punished for doing something good like reviving or returning outlaws. This would give the Cowboy a really distinct gimmick where you're rewarded for essentially role-playing. Up next is the Priest, which might be a bit surprising since the class on paper is pretty damn powerful. 2 crucifixes, 2 holy waters that can't be struck by lightning makes him quite the option. But the gripe I got with it is that for a class that costs as much as like the Vampire or the Survivalist, it's pretty replaceable. The Crucifix and the Holy Water, they're both one-time use items, and every town is guaranteed to have a church where you're always gonna find both items. Lightning immunity? Nigh useless since rarely does a storm even come by, and rarely do you even get struck by lightning, which you could easily avoid by just having a lightning rod or going anywhere that has a roof over your head. Matter of fact, if you ever die to lightning, you're a bum. Just kidding, I love you guys, please subscribe. What I'm saying is, being a slightly better arsonist doesn't justify the 75 bond price tag on this class's name. So for the rework, notice how there are 2 religious items that are only single use. For a change, I'll be introducing another item that could be used as much as needed, and I'll call it the liturgical book. You know how exorcists use their supposed book to chant with it to do what they need to do? The book is like that, but instead of exorcism, it's almost like to where you put your cursor at for a 20-second cooldown each time. And since liturgical books are typically written in Latin, the priest will be the only class to use the book, for both lore and game design's sake. To sprinkle in some balance changes, he only gets 1 of each item and has 75 health now. Now that I made it like this makes the priest more of a class that's highly valuable but very vulnerable, and it's better off the back line support in the front. And that's all the classes I felt like that needed a rework. If you're asking how about the other classes, it's that I feel like a couple stat changes are already enough to fix it. But if you want to know, it should be on screen right now. If a class isn't there, it's because I think they're alright and don't need any changes, so you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's the end of the video. If you got any thoughts about my propositions, or if you even want to show your own reworks, comment them down below. I love your guys' comments, and it's very fun reading all about what y'all have to say. If you liked the video and would like to see more Dead Reels content from this channel, why not like and subscribe? Also join the Discord server, it'll be down in the pinned comment. Anyways, I'm Vegan Shark, and back to the war as I go. Peace.